welcome back to another episode of
My Waifu.
And Me. And on today's episode, we're doing the second half of our July reading log. Yes, we had to break it up into two parts, mainly because of the sheer number of volumes that the waifu was reading this month. Not because of me. I'm only doing one volume a night, so mine could easily be one video, but combined together, we are reading just a lot of physical manga, and we wanted to split it up. We didn't want to just do all of that in one go, so we split our July reading log into two parts. This is our part 2. We'll probably do the same for August, maybe not. Just depends on how many volumes we start to clear as we get through August, but for now, we want to break it up. So this is part 2 of our July reading log, everything we read during the second half of July. So this is like after like the middle, like July 16th or something, I think.
Yeah,
is when we split up.
like that.
15th or 16th.
It's not precise.
Everything from July 16th to like July 31st. Okay, so Waifu, start us off. What did you read this month?
Alright, so to start it off, I read everything that is out of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Ta-da!
So, all 11 physical volumes that we have out, that we have purchased. And then I also went onto the Shonen Jump app and I caught up with all of the weekly stuff that has come out. And I'm caught up with that now. So it has been a blast reading it. So we did watch the first season of the anime that came out.
Right.
Loved it, obviously.
Loved it.
So I really was just itching to read it. It was kind of one of those, like, you know how you crave a snack or like some candy or something? I was craving to read Jujutsu Kaisen. So that is what I did, and I really, really loved it. I enjoyed it. So many good moments, so much stuff happening. There's the volume 1 cover that Jerry's showing right now. It was a blast. It was a blast to read it. And then another one that I started, because we only have one volume of this, is Komi Can't Communicate. And I wasn't sure if I was going to like this or not, but I ended up loving it.
She knew she was going to like it. There's no way around it.
No, I really didn't know. But definitely just one of the most wholesome manga I think I've ever read. And if you like just wholesomeness and cuteness, this is a great series.
That's the one.
So I am definitely going to try to hunt down the rest of this series that is physically out currently.
I think there's 13 or 14 now.
Yeah, the main bump I'm running into is getting that volume 2.
Yeah, seems to be gone everywhere.
It's just like, bye. So we'll see, but I'm also excited to see the anime come out too this fall.
Yeah, the anime's announced for later this year, so if you want to get Komi, I'd say get it now before the hype starts, because if you can pick it up now, go for it. We've only picked up Volume 1 so far, but we're definitely going to get more now that Waifu liked Volume 1.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, so the one series that I cleared this month was Planets. The last volume, I don't have it here with me, but it's in the other room, whatever. But Planets, it has 4 volumes, but technically you can see it there. They split the last volume into 2 halves, so it's like 4 out of 1 and 4 out of 2, which is a really unique decision from Tokyo Pop. Not 100% sure why they did that. But when they this is the original publish of it, so the older publication of Planets, as opposed to the newer. There are 2 omnibuses that Dark Horse released later that you could also pick up. They're a little bit easier to find than the original volumes, but I do think the singles are not too bad on the secondary market. We found it at a local shop for the cover price, so I picked it up maybe a month or 2 ago. I finally decided to read it. It's a really cool series. It's by the same author as Vinland Saga. If you're into Vinland Saga, it does not have anywhere near the violence or that sort of character building like it does in Vinland Saga. This is a little more episodic, but it is a very deep story about understanding self and about understanding purpose in life, which I think that Yukimura really does a great job with across Planets and across Vinland Saga. So Planets is definitely one of those ones that if you like space and you like space exploration and you want a kind of a character-driven story, give it a shot. It's super short. Like I said, it's either 2 omnibus volumes or you can pick up the 5 single editions that Tokyo Pop did. And it's a quick read. It's a little wordy at parts, but it is a quick read. It's a little unknown. It's very different than the anime version that came out, but I've heard praise for both the anime and manga version. But the manga version definitely is a little bit more episodic, a bit more about these characters. They work on it's like a trash can in the sky. It's like in the space, they get trash out of the space, essentially. That's what your main characters, which are featured. It's like 3 main characters, kind of a 4th one comes in after the first volume or so. And then you kind of get to see what they do in space. So, cool space story. Really excited I finally read that. Yukimura's great.
Speaking of Vinland Saga, might as well pull these out. The 10 and 11, I don't don't know what to call them. They're not
They're
called
2-in-1s.
anything. They're 2-in-1s.
Hardback 2-in-1s.
Like collectors type of
Yeah.
whatever. Vinland Saga. So now I'm caught up with the physical prints of English Vinland Saga.
Yeah, I know, right?
So good. I mean, just if you like Vikings, if you like violence, if you like history, definitely go for this series. Watch the anime too, because Wit Studio did just such a impeccable,
muy imperfecto. Incredible.
Imperfecto.
Perfecto.
Perfecto. But yes, so good. One of our favorite series, I would say.
Oh my god, yeah. The anime is amazing. I haven't read the manga yet, but Waifu.
But he said today.
She demolished it, and I was sitting there today, and I was like, I want to read it, I think.
He's like,
so,
I might read it next, so.
We'll see. I might have to jump in. I mean, reading Planets definitely got me a little more excited to read Vinland Saga, so I think I might have to give it a shot. But the anime is gorgeous and beautiful, and watch the anime too, even if you read the manga, honestly.
Just do both.
Yeah,
Just
do both. Do both.
Okay, and then next up, Nyankees. This is probably a little less known, but it's about these cats that are in, like, organized crime. They're in gangs, and they are portrayed as both their cat selves and as their human selves.
Yeah.
But the reality is that they're cats. There's only 6 volumes, and I have a video coming up also soon in the near future that might have the rest of this series in it. Maybe.
Well, she read the first volume, so
but I read the
she's
first
excited
volume,
about it.
and it was very cute. You know, we have a cat. I love cats.
Cats are great.
I've always loved cats.
Cats are great.
My family has always had cats, so if you're a cat lover, this is a pretty funny little manga. It's very short. It's only 6 volumes total for the whole series. And our friend David from Uncensored Anime Podcast also read it and loved it. And he suggested it, so that's why I gave it a try, and it has been a joy to read. I was sitting there just like laughing every page because it was just so funny.
Great first volume, supposedly. Okay, cool.
It was cute.
All right, so I was able to read the first 2 volumes of Hinamatsuri. So I actually, if you watched one of our most recent hauls from Right Stuff, I went ahead and picked up the first 12 volumes. I think it's all that's out of Hinamatsuri. So here we go. I decided to go ahead and read the first 2. I have enjoyed it so far. I'm going to definitely keep going through it. I saw Boogie Snacks suggest this, so I decided to pick it up when it was on sale for the Right Stuff summer sale, you know. And it's really about this Yakuza guy who's kind of a bit of a hard A, you know, and this like telekinetic young girl legitimately just like falls into his apartment, and he's like, I don't know why I have to be responsible for you. So it's a lot of that kind of hijinks, shenanigans. There's like other telekinetic like little girls involved in this series. I'm not sure. They're like from another planet maybe. It's comedy, it's hijinks, it's got a lot of that very unique Japanese humor. So if you're into that and you like sort of the juxtaposition of like Yakuza guy and like young middle school girl, that's definitely the type of comedy you've got out of Hinamatsuri. Be willing to give it a shot. I'm definitely going to read the rest. I mean, I have all 12 and I enjoyed the first 2 a lot.
Awesome. Next up, I read 2 and 3 of Maison Ikkoku.
Yep.
By Rumiko Takahashi.
And I think you read the first one in our first half of July reading,
I read the first one in the first half.
Yeah.
And I just had to keep reading it. It's such an enjoyable series. You know, it's got that romance element, but it's also got that slice of life element in there, and there's just such a great cast of very kooky characters, but they're also very kind and they take care of each other.
Right.
You know, they're not family, but they all live together essentially in the same building.
I gotta read this one.
So
I think it's gonna be cute.
It's so cute. It's very, very cute, and I'm excited to keep just buying it and reading it.
Right.
4 is definitely going to be probably in the near future on my to be read
TBR,
list.
yeah.
So,
we own 4 already.
Yeah, we own 4.
She hasn't read it yet.
I didn't read it. I kind of prioritized a couple other things.
Right.
That is to say, so the 4th and last volume of Skullface Bookseller, Honda-san. Unfortunately, it probably, and I read a couple other reviews on Goodreads, if you know what that is. It's like a book reading app, and they have manga on there, and there's kind of a consensus that this is more of like a bonus content type of thing. It's not really a full story. It's not even about Honda at the bookstore anymore. There is some interesting stuff about, you know, inside workings of publishing companies, but it was a little disappointing to not get that same cast of characters in the bookstore.
I didn't know that. I need to read this.
I didn't know it either, and I didn't even realize it was the final one until I
this is the end.
But then I saw 4, and then very tiny on there it says final right under the 4.
Oh, I didn't know that was the end.
I didn't know it was the end either, but it did sound like the her editor in the publishing company that she's under kind of pushed her to make this and make more, basically. And I found out too that there's an anime of it as well.
Oh yeah, we should watch that.
But yeah, I was just a little sad that it wasn't a full story, or it wasn't a continuation of the story that we already know. So it's good to have all 4 in the collection, but definitely a little disappointed in that. So
All right, so I decided to read the first volume, actually, the first volume of Interspecies Reviewers. I have it pretty much blanked out there, but it is a little raunchy on the cover there. But Interspecies Reviewers, I decided to pick up read the first volume. I've actually read it before I read it digitally via scans. Decided to read the physical volume, just kind of get back into it to read the rest of the physicals, because I've only read about them. I think I only read the first volume or so on scans. So I decided to read the physical one this month, and it was just as funny as I remembered it from reading it on scans. I like the translation better in the physicals than the scans that I had read. I think they're a little bit more spot on, and they get some of the puns and the humor of it a little bit better. This series is ecchi, but it's really not that disgusting. It's actually like pretty palatable ecchi, because the comedy, the words, or there's a lot of very finely tuned humor in the midst of it. I'm not saying this is like top. This is not top. It makes some dirty jokes, but that's the funny part. I think it's really a good comedy. I'm excited to read the rest. We already have all 5 volumes that are out right now. I think the 5th one just came out, so I'm excited to read the other 4, because this reminded me how funny this series can be. It's about these dudes visiting these interspecies brothels, essentially, and writing reviews over it. So very funny series.
Next up for me is Zom 100 Volume 1 and 2. Again, a series that I wasn't sure about.
Yeah, I've already read these as well.
Yeah, he's more into the zombie stuff than I ever was, and I was a pretty dedicated fan of The Walking Dead up until a certain point. Then I felt like I just was really burned out with zombie stuff. But it's really not about zombies with this series. It's about somebody who is kind of taking advantage of the zombie apocalypse to actually find himself and realize that work wasn't everything, and life, there's so much more to life than just working and being a wage slave, I think is what he called himself. Which is a kind of a problem in Japan as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories that actually feature that.
Yeah, so it definitely is a very prevalent issue in that country, just the working culture. So you kind of get a glimpse of that in this series, but the comedy is also very spot on. It was so funny. So, I was actually
and this girl here is such a waifu, dude.
Yeah, she is pretty waifu.
Yes,
she's kind of mysterious, but yeah, she's cute for sure.
Yeah, they did a good job with her. Just because she's also like surviving the apocalypse, but she's like doing it much more efficiently than the guy.
Yeah, she's way better at it than him.
Yeah, so like that's like a really cool aspect of it. But the whole series is it's the first 2 fun read. Same author that did the series Alice in Borderland. Also, if you've ever heard of that, it's getting published in English finally next year. Actually, just announced that, probably due to the success of this and the success of the live action Netflix show they did of the series. So Alice in Borderland, this is actually his follow-up work after Alice in Borderland. So I'm not surprised from a talented author to see another hit come out. So I think Zom 100 is going to be a hit.
Alright, so this next one I'm not going to really go that into because you probably saw it in our part 1 video, Inside Mari by Shizo Oshimi. So I sat down and pretty much read it all in one day. As you know, if you are an Oshimi fan or if you've ever read Oshimi, he's very easy to read because a lot of the stuff in his stories is very based on the visuals. There's not a lot of text in his manga, so definitely it was really, really great. There was some stuff in there that I can see why.
Yeah, it's spice, dude. There's spice in there.
Yeah, there's some spicy stuff, and I can see why maybe people felt a little, weird about it or uncomfortable. And I myself, I would say, maybe felt a little uncomfortable with some of the content. But I think it was purposeful. It was meant more than just for the sake of just being in the story. So I was okay with that, and I could see that it did have meaning, and it did help kind of move the plot along. So
right, absolutely. So on the flip, so I read Inside Mari last month. The waifu read Happiness last month, or last half of the month. Jeez, this was all in the same month. So the first half of July, I read all of Inside Mari. She read all of Happiness. Yep. We flipped. I read all of Happiness. I had to get through 3 through 10 because I had already read volumes 1 and 2. So I read all of Happiness in the second half of the month. It's flipping with her, and yes, I won't go too much into it, but Oshimi, there's vampires. I think it's a very unique work. This one is, especially due to the artwork, the way that he utilizes some of like that Van Gogh inspiration to really illustrate the skies. Yeah. It does kind of take an interesting shift at some point in the series, so prepare yourself for that. I think it happens around like volume 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But just prep yourself. I think that there's some people who don't like the ending part. The first half definitely has. I think that the whole series works as just an illustration of loneliness and understanding loneliness, coming into self. So it's a really cool work from Shuzo. If you like his work, you're obviously gonna like this one. It's not, it's not much of a departure. So definitely look into this if you're a fan of his work.
Yes. All right. Next up, I've been trying to read a Junji Ito every month. So this month I chose Remina, and again, kind of an average read for me. I usually really love Junji Ito.
This is his space story, right?
Yeah, it's kind of space. It's this planet that is slowly coming towards Earth, and it's destroying all the other planets. And there is... The scientist names this planet after his own daughter, Remina. So there's Remina the planet, and then Remina the daughter. And people start going crazy. They think she's to blame for this mysterious planet coming towards the Earth and trying to destroy the Earth. So they're like trying to crucify her and her dad, and it's pretty insane, honestly. But I don't know. It was a good story. Like, I think there had the beginning, the middle, the end.
Right.
But probably not my favorite Ito work. Yeah. But it was still enjoyable in my mind.
Yeah, I haven't got to read that one yet, so I'm excited to still give it a shot. I've been really into like sci-fi stuff lately. Like, I don't know why, but like sci-fi, futuristic stuff has been really on my mind. So I've been wanting to read more sci-fi stuff. So Remina's kind of up that alley. I've been wanting to check out things like Blame and one that I'm about to show you is kind of sci-fi as well. But I need to read it. But I know waifu not like loving it is like I don't know. But okay, we'll see.
It's one of those things that you can sit down and read in an afternoon. So I mean, you might as well just read it.
Right. I know. I need to just knock it out.
I mean, the art's gorgeous as always. I mean, even if Ito isn't the strongest story writer, his art is always going to be on point.
It's always fire.
I mean, if you've read Junji Ito, I mean, you know that his art is never lacking.
Right.
Okay, the very last one is going to be The Flowers of Evil Complete Editions by Shuzo Oshimi. It is a lot.
Look at that.
This is a hefty haul.
Fire.
But man, probably my favorite thing that I read this entire month, really. Mm-hmm. Something about the story and the way that it concluded was very meaningful and almost emotional for me. I remember I was texting Jerry as I was finishing it because he was hanging out with our friend Chase the Dark Sage, and
make sure you go follow sub.
Yeah, follow him, of course, follow sub. And I was like, I'm like crying, like I just finished this and I'm kind of tearing up. Like there's so much feelings that I'm feeling right now because it's hard to describe because I don't want to spoil it. And Jerry has only watched the anime.
I've only seen the anime version. Yeah, I haven't read it. That's my next one.
It only adapts up to a certain point in the manga. I would say it adapts maybe half the manga.
Yeah.
And there's so much more in the second half that I didn't even realize. So definitely, again, Oshimi just does such a good job with the themes of adolescence and growing up and dealing with mental health issues and trying to navigate that in a place where people don't necessarily recognize that mental health is really an issue. Right. So that was a really big part of Flowers of Evil, and it just the conclusion is like, for people that deal with these issues, the happy ending is not always guaranteed for you, because mental illness is a lifelong thing. But to see them, get better and to overcome some of the things that they're going through. It made me very hopeful as a person that also deals with things like anxiety and depression. So definitely excellent series.
Yes.
Would recommend it. Probably the top Oshimi series that I've read.
Yeah, I mean,
now
it's
that I've
considered
read so
his,
much.
I don't know the word for it, but it's considered like his...
Like magnum opus.
Yeah, kind of his breakout work.
Yeah.
It's the reason he kind of popped onto the scene is when he did that series. So I think it's definitely, if you want to jump into an Oshimi work, give Flowers of Evil a shot. If you want to watch the anime, I think it's the only anime adaptation any of his work has ever been done.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason I love Oshimi. I watched the anime version. I was really impressed by it. Didn't even realize he had other works, and eventually found out later and was like, oh, I need to try these. Now, reading Happiness, Inside Mari, Okairi Alice, Blood on the Tracks, like all these other series, I love everything he does. And so it's really cool to be back in. I need to read Flowers of Evil now because I've only seen the anime, so that's one of my next plans. So it'll be cool to circle back around and read that after reading all those other works. But okay, last single volume that I read. So we have one more after this. But so I did read No Guns Life. So you saw that we picked this up in our recent hauls. We got 1 through 3. So I was able to read the first volume. I'm going to try to get through the second and third before we start buying any more of it. I liked this a lot. I was very impressed by this. The dialogue can be a little back and forth, maybe not the cleanest. There's a couple different like mysteries that are maybe a little like misleading / you don't really understand from the first volume, but I was actually intrigued. I was interested in some of those mysteries. It features this guy, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's got this revolver for a head. I'm about to see if it says it on the back here. But he's got a revolver for a head, and he's like an early version of these things called Extended. They're essentially just like cyborg humans, but he has no memory of like what his human life was like, but he solves sort of like detective noir crimes involving other cyborg Extended, and that's kind of his whole purpose. He does that out of like what's kind of like a detective's office. It's kind of cool. So if you're into anything like cyborg or sci-fi but crime, this is definitely up your alley. There's a lot of like cyber criminals, and also Juzo is the name of the main guy, Juzo Inui. So definitely check out No Guns Life. I'm going to be reading volumes 2 and 3 for sure.
Last up is something that we both read.
Yeah, we both read it.
We both happened to read it in the last half of this month.
Half of the month. So that is the Bible of manga, Berserk Omnibus number 6. This is the second omnibus featuring the Conviction arc, I think is what it's called. So there's one more omnibus that includes the Conviction arc. That'll conclude the end of Omnibus 7, and then it goes into the Millennium of the Falcon arc. So this is a pretty good chunk of the Conviction arc. This is all Conviction arc stuff in Omnibus 6. Features a lot of really great moments, especially the antagonist of this arc. One of the major antagonists who I like a lot, if I can find a really solid shot of him. He's this massive looking dude with this big old forehead. And he just kind of enacts his own sense of justice based around his religion, and I think that's a very interesting character component. So if you haven't read any of Berserk, this is the first arc after the return to there's a great shot of him. After the return from the past after the previous arc, the Golden Age arc, obviously. So, boom, we're really excited. One more omnibus to be caught up to the omnibuses. The 8th omnibus, I believe, comes out in August or early September. It might have gotten delayed a little bit. So, we want to get through 7 before then, and then be able to read 8 right when it comes out. Really excited to read more Berserk. I mean, sheesh!
Just excellent. Just read it. I mean, I don't know what else to say. We're just Berserk stans, I guess. I don't know.
I can't believe I waited this long to read Berserk. How can you, like, as an anime manga fan my whole life, it's like I can't believe I waited until I was this old to finally read it. But God, am I happy I finally did, because people talk about it being the number 1 manga or whatever, and you think that's overhyping it, and somehow, like some way, my expectations were exceeded. It was even better than I had thought it was going to be.
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought it was going to be amazing. And it was even better than that. So it is truly a masterclass when it comes to writing and drawing manga. So if you want a series to dive into, it just, character, world building, everything, just beautiful. So we got through Omnibus 6. We both did.
Yes, we did.
Hell yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us for the second half of our July reading along. We cleared through, it's something like 50 plus volumes of manga that we read this month.
I lose count.
It's just an absurd number of manga volumes, so we cleared through a bunch of them this month. We had a blast. No digital reading really this month. I didn't really read in the back half at least.
I mean, I mentioned that I finished what's out of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I read a couple more chapters of Dragon Ball Z, but other than that, I did read All You Need Is Kill. I read all of that on Shonen Jump. I did read that, so I think I wrote myself a note, and of course I forgot it because it's not right in front of me.
Well, here it is. All You Need Is Kill. You can read that on the Shonen Jump app as well. So thank you guys so much for joining us for this second half of our July reading log. We're going to keep doing hauls, hunts, whatever we decide to do involving manga over the next month or so. So hopefully you guys stick with us. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, do all of that. It helps our channel to continue to grow and to continue to find more people that might be enjoyed in the content that we're bringing. You know, we're doing all this because we just love manga, right? We love manga, so we want to share it with the people out there. We're having a blast collecting it. We're having a blast getting back into manga. Something that we've always been into. I mean, for me, almost 20 years of my life I've been reading manga, but only now as an adult am I able to finally collect and build a collection of some of my favorite series. So it's been really fun. So we're really excited to bring you guys more. Thank you guys so much for the support. Keep loving manga, keep reading manga, and keep collecting manga. So this has been another episode of My Waifu and Me. Thank you guys so much, and peace.